Hey Blade fans, OG Blade Reviews with you today. What do we got on the table today? I'm hiding it. Can you read that? Kizer. It's a fixed blade from Kizer. Haven't had one of those in a bit. Got a lot of knives out for compare today. Hopefully that will interest you. And the reason I got this set up like this is just the way the box comes. Pretty large box. And the box is just a bear to pull apart. There's so much friction, but I did want to show you what comes inside. $89.99 from White Mountain Knives. This was my own purchase, less my discount, and you can get that too. OG-Blade. There's a little sticker you get, and this is the weird part that makes it kind of difficult with Kizer. This is how they pack their fixed blades, at least. And you have to take this out really to pop it out, and underneath in the box you got your cleaning cloth, and you've also got your Kydex sheath, and they did a pretty good job on the Kydex sheath. So let me get all this junk out of the way. Okay, nobody's really interested in boxes, but sometimes it contributes to your purchase. Now here's a question: where'd the knife go? There's the box. Oh, there's a knife. It is a fixed blade. It is a rather unusual fixed blade. It is a dagger ground, but not double edge fixed blade. How does that sound familiar? Perfrico, Civivi. I'm going to show you that today. They did the same thing. It was a bit stiff. I'm going to give you a trick that I use so that I don't have to remold the sheath. You can remold the sheath if you want, but I found it just as easy to use a little bit of ceramic spray that you get from Flitz and some other companies. Same thing you use on a car finish as kind of the final coat. High gloss, very protective and so forth, but it makes this nice and slippery inside the Kydex sheath. So if it's gripping a little tight, then nice and snaps in and comes out nice no matter how. So now I got it pretty much the way I want it. For a double-edged knife in particular, I don't want it to come out of the sheath too quickly. We'll talk about this more in a moment. Let's see if we can zoom in. I'm kind of miles away here. Okay. So fairly typical setup for Civivi and Kizer and Sencut and a bunch of others. They give you this faux, I call it faux Tech-Lock sheath, because the Tech-Lock from Civivi will actually have Bob Trezzuola's name there. He's the inventor of it, in case you didn't know that. But it's attached with 2 Chicago screws on one side. You might want to do this and put it on your belt. There's not much flexibility. It goes on your belt up and down, or upside down, should you choose. And that is it. Almost whacked the knife and sent it my way. Locks out over here. Okay, but it is a good Kydex sheath. I'm really kind of anal about Kydex sheaths. Put that together any way you want. Here it is. So it comes in a lot of different flavors. Flavor was that? Here's White Mountain Knives. The high end, that they don't yet have a picture on White Mountain. They do that. You should wait for the photo before you put it up, but that's up to those guys. $239, that's the high-end one, comes in M390 and so forth, carbon fiber. Here we get into the budgety models. Nope, not that one either. Okay, so there you go. Got the serrations on both sides. Here's the one that you're seeing on the table. Now we get down below 100, $89.99. Knock $9 off of that, you got about $81, and that would be your price shipped, no taxes, from White Mountain if you use my OG-Blade reviews, OG-Blade discount. Okay, so that's one model. Got single-sided serrations, and you can actually put your thumb up here. Here we've got kind of a diver's knife or rescue knife look to it with an orange handle, a blunted point with a seatbelt cutter hook over on one side and serrations. And let's get back to the list. And then we've got the same thing but pointed with serrations on one side. We've got double serrations. And I'm not sure on this one if they, not sure if I can expand it for you. Sometimes you got to turn your phone this way. Could take forever. Yeah, I'm not able to do that lately for some reason. Used to be able to touch the image once you get it in magnifying glass mode. Anyway, they seem to be sort of marketing this, although they don't say on the Kizer website that I have seen. Anyway, they seem to be marketing this as kind of emergency slash tactical, police duty, EMT, divers, kind of a knife, emergency kind of a knife. It's interesting. Got a lot of little features here. They almost built in, I think, too much into one knife. Why they needed it slotted, I'm not sure. Will it interfere with cutting or not? Probably not, because you don't have a full edge, although you've got one down here. Got a single screw in the center holding the handle slabs on. Scales of the knife. You've got a lanyard hole here. And we've got a embedded ceramic ball glass breaker on the pommel. You can hold it this way fairly safely. There's plenty of room for a fully extended thumb. You got some jimping, some knobby sort of jimping back here. You got double guards. So for you guys that must have guards, I get it. And there you have that there. You've got lashing points here, 2 holes. And what do they make it out of? It is a Nitro V. Okay, a lot of the stainless budgety knives are now going to Nitro V. Your choice whether you like 14C, Nitro V, or what's that other one? I'll think of it in a moment. They're all sort of kin in the same sort of group. But edge is only on one side, which is kind of a bummer. But we get it. A lot of jurisdictions don't want double edge. It means you can't have the knife, can't carry the knife if it's double edged. If you brandish it and get yourself in positions where you're going to get scrutinized, and you're wearing it out on your belt, you may worry about that. Otherwise, you may not worry about that. It's really up to you and your local laws. Anyway, it's branded here, Nitro V Norcross. Don't know the maker. I think it's an internal design, but that's sort of their Norcross symbol. It is part of what they call their X series. So all the Norcross knives that you saw there are part of the X series. My question still is whether when you get the double serrations, whether you get the double edge. Because technically, if you put serrations on both sides, it's double edge, but maybe not enough. Don't know. I may likely sharpen that edge myself and make it a true double edge. Holds pretty well, pretty thin handle, and I think I've gone over most of the salient points, excuse the pun, and we'll get into telling you how long it is, 8 1/4 overall. 4 1/8, that's 4.15 blade to the handle, and sharpened edge if we include the serrations, 3 3/4. And by the way, I got a question for you guys watching this that actually got to this part of the video. I've been measuring every single knife. There was a time where somebody had asked me to do that, and I got more than one request to measure it on screen rather than just pop the stats up there. I can continue doing it, and then somebody, obviously from Europe or even the US, that likes metric units says, well, why are you only doing imperial units? So I started adding some metric units, except for the length. So I don't really have a measuring device with centimeters or millimeters. But I am giving you the other dimensions with the caliper that reads out in metric. Do you feel it is valuable to you to have me do the measurements on screen. If not, I may stop and just pop them up there, or maybe use a grid sort of background, at least briefly, because I don't like leaving them up forever. The camera tends to focus on the grid, by the way, and not on the object I'm showing you when I do that. But I can put a ruler up or whatnot and say, okay, there you go, here it is. So you let me know if you like this, and if it doesn't make it too long-winded and you don't usually skip by it, I'll continue measuring. But for now, today, this one, 0.53 across the handle, and blade stock of 0.15, fairly thick blade stock. That is 3.9 millimeters, call that 4 millimeters when I'm not pushing on it, and 14.2 millimeters. The weight, and we'll also get the weight with the sheath. First in grams. Okay, knife only, 136.87, and on ounces, 4.83, rounding up. If we put the sheath on there, fairly heavy with the tech lock, so be prepared. If we put the sheath on there, we get 8.74. And if we go back around to grams, we get 247.81. Okay, now that I won't post. But that's another thought as far as the weight goes, is that I can simply pop those numbers up there as I'm talking about the knife at some point, and you'll get to read them off the screen. But if you'd like to see me measure, happy to do it. All right. Looking at the knife again and getting into some compares. Okay. Branding, Kizer, name of the knife, name of the steel, and logo for the Norcross series. Well, Civivi Perfrico, Perfrico, the one I happen to have, is with the chevron sort of V's on the blade. Kind of cool. Very much like maybe ZT does on some of their tiger stripes and so forth. I think they've done that pattern at least on one. Longer knife overall by like 1.5 inches at least. Longer blade by at least 1/2 inch. And again, we got the situation where sharp, sharp, dull, dull. With the caveat that they grind it enough so that that's the only thing missing is the sharpening bevel, and you can sharpen that yourself. It is not any thicker here than it is on the same side over there. So it's relatively easy to add the edge, except it's always a challenge sharpening double-edged dagger sort of knives if you use a clamp system. You may not be able to clamp it. However, I think the Work Sharp Precision Adjust Pro may have that little bench sort of thing out front for freestyling. Haven't tried it on a larger double edge yet, but I might do that. Another dagger knife. Tops Ice Dagger with a ring. And no, it is not the federal immigration people that we see in the news lately, particularly. It stands for in case of emergency. Okay. So new meaning to common acronym. Got the ring, got G10, rough G10 on both sides, 3 bolts holding the scales on, and a reinforced tip. Interesting. Is it really reinforced? We got the same width bevel there, but maybe that bevel is a little higher and a little lower there. So we'll say it's reinforced, kind of like a Gladius type of deal. What else have we got? A couple of single-edged knives, or at least ground single edge. This is the Lucio by Tenable. So this is the budget version of a higher end one from Concept that has titanium handles. And this one has carbon fiber. It is real carbon fiber through and through, by the way. Not that Taiwanese stuff that they put on the Spyderco and other knives where it's just a top layer. And finally, also from Kizer, but I'm going to have to shift things a little bit. The Elgon, Jonathan Stiles design. There, all the pommels are evened up so you can see the relative differences. And I'm going to see if I can get a little more light here. Okay, there we go. I think that'll do it. Yeah. This one is from D2 from Kizer. It's a real nice design. Kind of a hunting sort of a knife, maybe even possibly a skinning knife, but it's got the grind of a Tonto persuasion there, but with a flat grind through and through. Nice knife. I got the Elgon, and they got another one. I think the Elgon here is named after a mountain because Jonathan likes to hike and climb. Well, let's get back to the Norcross. See if I can get these out on the wings enough so that they're not in the frame. I think so. Yep. Perfrico sheath, by the way, is very cool the way they did that. Little air pockets there, and they scalloped it, tapered the pancake sheath. All right, so let's get the Norcross sheath back in here. I think what we're going to do is try a little cut with it. You might think with something like this, you might want to, and this definitely can be a dagger for, you know, all the usual dagger stuff. Fits pretty well for Pical, except with a equal handle there, neutral handle. I grab it quick, didn't know which way I put it in the sheath, which way has an edge or not an edge, you know? That's the thing I like about asymmetrical handles on most knives, but not on double-edged knives. So this would need to be a full double edge for you to really feel right about a neutral handle. Cutting test. Got off on my soapbox there. That first cut was fine. Yeah. Not a lot of edge there, you know. But it cuts, and it definitely pokes. And the serrations, I can't slice with the serrations, but they're prickly enough, that's for sure. You know, you can definitely do damage with that. My question on some of the ones with the seatbelt cutter is, you know, can you safely get the knife underneath the seatbelt without cutting the person when you're trying to snag that seatbelt? But I guess time will tell, right? Let me know what you think about the Kizer Norcross single-edged and single serrated edition. Could be something useful, or maybe they just over-engineered it. You know, they might have just put too many appendages on it. You know, that's kind of my feeling. Although I think it's neat. It was a lower cost blade, so hey, what the heck? I can always sell it off, give it away, whatnot. There you go. Right about now, my logo is over here. Click on that, and if you haven't subscribed, you can do so. Hope you do. If you haven't already, you'll be notified of vids when they drop. Be well. Take care. Stay safe.